Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Merab Dvalishvili had a massive win over Marlon Moraes at UFC 266. So I wanted to put together a video of who he can potentially fight next. And honestly, with the layout of the division, he may end up getting screwed or he may end up getting the biggest fight of his career. The division is kind of a mess right now because Yan illegally knees Aljamain Sterling back at UFC 259. Aljamain Sterling can't continue. He's the champion. They were supposed to rematch at the end of October at UFC 267, but the news came out the other day Aljamain Sterling isn't ready yet. He has an injury to his neck or whatever. So now we're getting Petr Yan versus Cory Sandhagen for the interim title. So the division is just a mess right now because whoever wins between Yan and Sterling, or not Yan and Sterling, Yan and Sandhagen, has to fight Sterling for the real undisputed belt, which people would claim that it's not real anyway, but you get the point. So the division's kind of logjam. You have Jose Aldo matched up with Rob Font. You look at the division, and everyone is pretty much matched up. Yan is number one. He's fighting Sandhagen. TJ Dillashaw is number two. He's injured until early 2022. Three is Sandhagen. He's fighting Yan. Four is Rob Font. He's fighting number five, Jose Aldo. And then Merab is number six. He moved up to number six after his win over Marlon Moraes. So you really look throughout the division, there's not many options. You can look below him, but below him, Cody Garbrandt's moving down to flyweight. I don't even know why he's still in the bantamweight rankings. Number eight's Frankie Edgar. He has a matchup with Marlon Vera at UFC 268. So even Frankie Edgar is in a matchup, and I think Merab probably wants to fight ahead of him, not behind him, especially, Frankie Edgar. Number nine's Pedro Munoz. He's available. Number 10's Marlon Moraes. He just beat him. Number 11's Dominic Cruz. You guys get the point. So what I really think is going to happen in this division right now is I think number 11, Dominic Cruz, is going to fight number 9, Pedro Munoz, probably in December, probably UFC 269 if I had to guess. So you guys heard that here first. I'm not sure if that's not official or anything, but that's just looking at the rankings, that's what makes the most sense. Dominic Cruz says he's fighting in December, so that's probably going to happen. So really, there's no options for Merab. He's going to have to sit out and wait to see how this division plays out. But I think he could potentially get the biggest fight of his career, even if it's not for a belt. So because the division is kind of logjam right now, you need at least two fights before TJ Dillashaw gets a title shot. So Sandhagen versus Petr Yan needs to play out. Then the winner of that needs to fight Sterling. So the chances of the winner fighting Sterling probably before spring of next year are slim. So chances are we won't get clarity in the division till either, very late winter or early spring next year. So is TJ Dillashaw, after being out for 2 years for an EPO suspension, is he going to sit out another year? He said he would take a fight if he had to sit out a long time. He wants to fight, and he thinks he's the best in the world. So the UFC could do TJ Dillashaw versus Merab Dvalishvili, and that would be a massive fight for Merab. And arguably, if he won that fight, he would be right at the top log jam with number one contenders because the winner of Rob Font versus Jose Aldo could also earn a title shot. They're fighting in December. So you know what I mean? The Merab Dvalishvili versus TJ Dillashaw could be a number one contender fight as well. Maybe you do Dillashaw versus Merab, and then you do Rob Font versus Jose Aldo, which is happening in December. Merab could just wait till January or February. That'd probably be a good timeline for him anyway, considering he just had a brutal fight. It's almost the end of September, so he sits out October, November, December, and maybe even January. That's 2 months off, 2-month training camp if he fights at the end of January. And TJ Dillashaw said he was out until early next year. So Merab could fight TJ Dillashaw, and then maybe they could fight the winner of Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Meanwhile, the top of the division between Sandhagen, Yan, and Aljamain Sterling play out, because you never know what's going to happen in those fights. If Yan beats Sandhagen and then goes on to fight Sterling and Sterling somehow wins, you bet they're going to have a trilogy out of that. Or you never know what could happen. There could be a draw between Sandhagen and Yan, or a draw between Sterling and Sandhagen if they fight again. Who knows what's liable to happen. But sitting out for a long period of time, especially for TJ Dillashaw, who's an advanced age already. He's not the youngest guy in the division. He sat out for 2 years after injecting EPO into his body and getting caught. There's not a lot of options. And I know he probably isn't going to want to take that Merab fight, but Merab has just shown, what he showed in that Marlon Moraes fight was so impressive. His ability to survive that early onslaught and just a brutal beating by Marlon Moraes. And he has nasty power. He slept a lot of guys. Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera. He submitted Rafael Sunsao. And for him to absorb those shots, survive that, and then come back and absolutely demolish him in the second round was so impressive, and he absolutely deserves a big fight next. I'm very high on Marlon Moraes, and I know he's on a losing skid, but that was still a very, very good win, and I want to see him get a big fight next. And the only guy available above him is T.J. Dillashaw. So give me Dvalishvili versus T.J. Dillashaw, January, February of 2022, and make that a number one contender fight, kind of. I don't know, because you got Rob Font and Jose Aldo. So let those winners fight it out for the actual number one contender spot. Let me know what you guys think of this idea in the comments. Make sure to like the video. Also, don't forget Dominic Cruz versus Pedro Munoz. I called that first. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.